Good evening. My name is Eileen Sutula, and I extend a very, very warm welcome and sincere thank you to each and every one of you who has come this evening to join us for the 4th annual Madison Friends of Cure event. In this time of economic uncertainty, it's not a given that people will actually show up and give to something like this, and so we are very grateful, and we certainly don't take it for granted, so thank you. Many of you in the audience are here this evening because you know someone dear to you that has epilepsy. Some of you are in this room because you have epilepsy and know the devastating effects of seizures firsthand. Others of you come because you have lost a child, a friend, a parent, a sibling, because of epilepsy. And some of you just come because you were asked, and so we welcome all of you. I also want to welcome our Cure family who has traveled from Chicago to be with us. Susan, Carmita, Susha, how do you say that? Sucha, thank you very much. Sucha, and by the end of the evening, I guarantee you will consider them family too. And an especially warm welcome to Jean Donalty from Utica, New York. Jean also serves on the Cure board and has done more than you can imagine to spread the word both nationally and internationally about SUDA, sudden unexplained death in epilepsy. Welcome to Madison, Jean. Before beginning our program this evening, I want to thank some very special people for their help and their dedication and their passion. First and foremost, my friend and co-chair Bill Rowe, who you will experience, and it is an experience, later in the program. His passion and compassion for this cause is truly beyond measure. If you know Bill, and if you've seen him out there, he is a big guy. But I have a very big secret. His heart is 10 times bigger. So thank you so much. So others who deserve a gigantic thank you is the committee comprised of Jackie Doler, our eternal optimist, Lauren Applenow, Reddick, Kristen Seaborg, who you see sitting right here, Vicki Rowe, Bill's wife, Dee Dee Stetzer, Donna Parks, Sue Applenow, Ben Hunter, who is our wonderful caterer who jumped in at the very end and served us some wonderful food, and the dynamic duo Julie Bollenbach and Frank Bollenbach. Julie is responsible for capturing this evening on film, and Brent did his magic by creating the booklet that you have in your hand. So thank you both very much. And finally to my husband Tom, who's my inspiration. I want to begin this evening by setting the stage by giving you 5 facts about epilepsy. There are many, many, many more, but I'm just going to give you 5. Fact number 1, 10% of the American population will experience a seizure in their lifetime. Fact number 2, approximately 500 new cases of epilepsy are diagnosed in the United States every day. It can develop at any age and can be the result of genetics, stroke, tumors, head injuries is what we see so many of our troops coming home with is traumatic brain injury. And there are many other factors. Fact number 3, epilepsy affects more people than multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy, cerebral palsy, and Parkinson's combined. Fact number 4, 50 million people worldwide have epilepsy. And fact number 5, epilepsy takes more lives than breast cancer. 50,000 deaths occur from epilepsy annually in the United States alone. So knowing that, I now want to introduce one of our special guests. This is a woman whose story has been told in Parade Magazine, 60 Minutes, Today Show, Fox News, Newsweek, Piers Morgan Show, Morning Joe, on and on. She's received the Chicagoan of the Year Award this year, and last month received the International Ambassador for Epilepsy Award by the International League Against Epilepsy, just to name a few. So as you can see, she's a little busy, but despite the hectic pace of all of this, Susan never, ever turns down an invitation to come to Madison and be with us. So despite all these titles and awards, I think Susan would agree that perhaps her greatest contribution to this world is her daughter, Lauren, diagnosed with epilepsy at 8 months old. 12 years ago, Susan and a group of women sat around Susan's table in Chicago, frustrated with the inability to protect their loved ones from debilitating effects of seizures and the side effects of medication. They spearheaded the search for a cure. This was when Citizens United for Research in Epilepsy was formed. Since that time, CURE has raised $18 million to fund research and other initiatives that will lead the way to a cure for epilepsy. CURE funds seed grants to investigators around the world to study previously unexplored areas of research in the field. To date, CURE has awarded 116 cutting-edge projects, and this includes grants here at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. So 2 years ago, some of you were there, we had an event in the Contemporary Art Museum on the square, and I used an African quote to describe Susan, and it said, "If you think you are too small to make a difference, then you've never been in bed with a mosquito." But since that time, I've been thinking, you know, it really kind of wasn't a good thing to call Susan Axelrod. She is on Morning Joe and things like that. So I want to amend that tonight and say that Susan Axelrod is not a mosquito in funding a cure for epilepsy. Instead, she's a stealth fighter jet bomber for the search for cure. So I want you to warmly welcome Susan Axelrod.
So welcome. This is our fourth event in Madison, and it's beginning to be like coming home, and I get to stay on the third floor of the Sutula's home, and here's my bed. It's really wonderful to be back, and you're always incredibly welcoming and incredibly supportive, and I've met some amazing people through this process. One of the things that's been the most heartwarming in these last 12 years is seeing these communities of supporters growing around the country, and this really is one of our strongest networks here. We have, in addition to raising the funds for research, I think just to give people a place to call home, because epilepsy has been a really, really lonely diagnosis. When my daughter was diagnosed almost 30 years ago, actually she was diagnosed with idiopathic seizure disorder, and still to this day, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are diagnosed with, who have epilepsy but are told they have a seizure disorder. In fact, Steve, recently in Minnesota, there was the football coach that had a major seizure on the field. It was almost impossible to find anything that was written or said about him that used the word epilepsy, and they described him as having had a seizure disorder, and that to me is really discouraging, because I thought we were making some progress, but we try to make lemonade out of lemons, and people have been writing articles about that and saying this is epilepsy. Epilepsy is 2 or more recurrent seizures, and sadly, in people who are diagnosed, like my daughter and many of the people in this room and their stories, 30% of those people do not have control of their seizures. And so that's why we do what we do, and it is really important to get the research going, but it's also important to be building these communities that will start. Every one of you could go out there and say that you learned 5 really important facts about epilepsy, not seizure disorders, but epilepsy, because let's call it for what it is and not be afraid of that word. It is, it's been known since biblical times, and it's kind of shameful that that people aren't out there talking about it. And that's what it takes, I think, in all diseases. Many fellow advocates in different diseases have said to me, in fact, just the other day we met with the executive director of the Alzheimer's Association. He talked about how nobody would use the word Alzheimer's. And now we've got great comfort with that in the society. So that's where we want to get with epilepsy. In this room can help us do that. And so tonight it's really exciting to have this. Actually, before I talk about the panel, I didn't come up with a quote for Eileen. Next year I'm going to work on that because I'd forgotten about the mosquito thing. But I don't think there is anybody in the world like her. And for us to have somebody who is so compelled by this cause, who doesn't have a child or a loved one in her immediate family, although she is part of our family. And so, tear up when I think about Eileen. She is truly amazing, and we wish we could clone her and take her around all these amazing communities because she could do phenomenal things as she is here. So thank you, Eileen, for all you do. I'm going to introduce a video, but it's very appropriate. It's one that we made this year in light of the panel that's going to present to you tonight. Because as Eileen mentioned, CURE was founded by parents of kids, and we always keep this, there's a lot of focus on the kids, and our stories are about the kids, but we are slowly realizing the impact of epilepsy on all family members, and are trying to sort of communicate to people all those different perspectives. And I think you're going to hear some amazing stories tonight, and different angles on this disease and how it affects so many people, not just the parents, not just the kids, but because maybe it's just coincidence, but the video that we prepared this year also addresses that. So you're going to hear from siblings and children, as well as parents of kids with epilepsy. And without further ado, let me introduce that video and thank all of you for what you're about to share with us tonight as well. Thanks.